Imagine, for a second, a dynasty so powerful, so incredibly brilliant, they didn't just build monuments, they literally carved eternity right into the mountains of South India. We're talking about the Pallavas.
Yeah, you heard that right. They built temples without a single brick. They looked at an entire mountainside and said, yeah, let's turn that into a temple. It's a feat of engineering that honestly still blows people's minds today.
Okay, so take a look at this. Estimate the contribution of the Pallavas. Now, if that looks familiar, it's because this is the exact kind of monster question you'd find on the UPSC exams, India's toughest civil service test. You look at that and you think, where do I even begin? It seems impossible, right?
Well, what if I told you it's not? In the next 5 minutes, we're not just going to answer it. I'm going to hand you the master key, the secret formula to unlock the entire genius of the Pallava dynasty. You ready? Let's do this.
All right, part 1, from caves to cathedrals. And look, this isn't just about putting up buildings. Oh no. This is about inventing a whole new way to think about building itself.
You see, the Pallavas didn't just follow the architectural rulebook. They wrote it. They pioneered what we now call the Dravidian style. This is the foundational DNA, the blueprint for pretty much every single grand South Indian temple you can think of today.
And the leap they made, it was just monumental. They started out in what's called the rock-cut era, where they would literally carve temples out of solid mountains. But then they completely evolved to the structural era, building these massive temples from the ground up, stone by individual stone. That's not a step, that's a quantum leap. It's like going from carving a little wooden toy car to actually engineering and building a Ferrari.
And they did it so fast. First, you have the mandapams, these cool little cave temples. Then, boom, you get the rathas at Mahabalipuram, which are entire temples, monolithic temples carved out of single giant rocks. And from there, they hit their peak with these breathtaking structural masterpieces like the Shore Temple. Every single step wasn't just an improvement, it was a revolution.
Okay, so they could build incredible structures, but they didn't just build empty boxes. They made the stone itself tell stories. Which brings us to part 2, stories etched in stone.
Just look at this. This is the descent of the Ganga at Mahabalipuram. People call it the world's largest bas-relief, but honestly, it's way more than that. The best way to think about it is like a massive, ancient comic strip carved directly into a giant slab of granite. You've got gods, you've got humans, you've got animals, an entire epic story frozen in time.
So how on earth did they get so good at this? Well, they kind of had a playbook. Step 1, master the epics. They learned how to tell these huge, sweeping stories from the Ramayana and Mahabharata in stone. Step 2, perfect the panel. They created these incredibly detailed scenes that you can read almost like a page in a book. And finally, step 3, they introduced the portrait. They started carving realistic sculptures of their kings and queens, making them immortal.
Okay, so their genius wasn't just visual. The Pallavas were also absolute masters of the written word. This leads us to part 3, the power of words.
And here's what's so smart about them. They played both sides of the literary field. On one hand, they championed Sanskrit, the highbrow language of scholars. The king, Mahendravarman I, was actually a playwright himself. But at the same time, they totally supported and nurtured Tamil, the language of the people, helping its incredible literary tradition to flourish.
And if you want proof of how serious they were about knowledge, look no further than the Gatikas in their capital, Kanchipuram. Now these were not just schools. Think of them as the Harvard and Yale of ancient India. The absolute Ivy League, attracting the brightest minds from all over the subcontinent. They literally built a city of knowledge. So we've got architecture, sculpture, and literature. That's a pretty solid legacy, right? You'd think that's where it ends. Nope, not even close. Let's talk about their lasting imprint. These guys were patrons of all the arts. I mean, everything. You've got painting. We find these stunning, vibrant frescoes inside their temples. You've got dance and music. Inscriptions show they were huge supporters of arts like Bharatanatyam. And you've got metalcraft. Their bronze casting skills produce some of the most iconic and beautiful sculptures the world has ever seen. Now, I want you to focus on a single number. Just one. The number 2. What could that possibly mean? That's the number of UNESCO World Heritage Sites they left behind. 2. Kanchipuram and Mahabalipuram. Think about that. This isn't just some stuff on a history book. We're talking about a legacy so important, so priceless,
that it's protected as a treasure for all of humanity. So, let's go all the way back to that impossible exam question we started with. Now that we have all the pieces, the answer isn't just clear, it's a formula. Your perfect answer is unlocked. And here it is, the master key I promised you, the Pallava formula. They were pioneers of Dravidian architecture, evolving from rock-cut caves to structural temples. They were masters of bas-relief sculpture, telling epic stories in stone. They were champions of literature, boosting both Sanskrit and Tamil. They were patrons of all the arts, from painting to dance. And they were creators of a global legacy, leaving behind 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. That is the contribution of the Pallavas.
So, I have to ask you, what part of all this just completely blows your mind? Was it carving entire temples out of mountains? Or maybe building the Ivy League universities of their day? Let me know. Drop what you think in the comments. I really want to know. And hey, if this whole explainer opened your eyes, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button for more deep dives like this every week.